Happy Thursday, welcome. For class today, you have to have your head up the whole time. Growth mindset. This math, it may be hard, but you will become proficient by working hard. You're not going to become proficient by having your head down. Just doesn't work that way. You need your math book open to page 33 and 4 graphs that Mrs. Coons is going to hand out to you. And then you'll need a pencil. So Mrs. Coons is going to pause the video. She's going to hand out those 4 graphs, and then while you're working, she's going to come around with a piece of tape, and you can tape those graphs to page 33. So Mrs. Coons, pause the video, and when everything's ready to go, we'll keep going forward. All right, lesson C11, we're going to practice today slope-intercept form, which is taking that math relationship in the equation form and identifying where the relationship begins and what the slope is, and then modeling it as a graph. So for the first one, above the graph, I'd like you to write y equals b plus or minus kx. That is our formula for our math relationship. Now, in this equation, the -2 is not the b, that is the kx. The k is your constant rate. Another name for it is the slope. So m, the slope, is equal to -2 per x. The b is where the y relationship begins. Okay, well, it begins at +7. So now, get your graph paper, make sure it's turned correctly, that you're not looking at numbers upside down or anything. And you're going to find your y-axis. It's right here. Okay. You're going to begin at 7. 7 doesn't show up on the graph, but it's between 8 and 6. And then you're going to show a constant rate of -2 per x. That means on the y-axis, move -2 for every x you step across. So from your 7, you're going to go down 2, step across 1. Down 2, step across 1. You keep doing it because it's a constant rate. Down 2, step across 1. And you're going to keep doing that until you can't go any more. And then you're going to indicate that it would keep going with an arrowhead. And you're going to connect the points. And there is y equals -2x plus 7. Okay, next one. Y equals 5x. Above that equation, write the formula. Y equals b plus or minus kx. And then analyze your equation. The 5 is part of the x. That's your constant rate. So your slope is 5 per x. Your b is called your y-intercept, or where you begin on the y-axis. This equation doesn't show a number, so you have to infer that you're beginning at 0. This would be called a proportionate math relationship. So make sure you know where your y-axis is, and you're going to begin at 0. That is right there. And then you're going to have a constant rate of 5 per x. The y-axis has a rate of up 5 for every x. So from here, I'm going to go up 5 for every x. I'm going to do it again, up 5 for every x. And then I can't go, I go off the graph. So I'm going to have an arrowhead and then straight line. If you're unsure that you can make this straight, okay, just back it up. Go down 5 and then back up 1. See, I got way off. Oh dear, that was way, way off. Should have been like that. All right, let's go with the next one. Number 3, write your formula above the equation. Y equals b plus or minus kx. This is the kx. That is your constant rate. Your slope is -2/3 per x. The B is where the y-axis begins. That's going to be -5. So go to your third graph. Make sure you've got your y-axis, and you're going to begin at -5. Well, you might say, hey, I don't find -5 on my graph. Well, it would be between 4 and 6 on the negative part of the number line. So it would be down here. Now, -2/3 y per x. That means from this beginning point, you're going to go down 2/3 for every x. That's really tough. Those graphs are so small. So you can move proportionately. Instead of going down 2/3 for every x, you can go down 2 per 3x. And then you don't have to worry about guessing that space. Down 2 for every 3x. And you see, they'd fall in line anyway. Down 2 for every 3x. Down 2 for every 3x. And your graph keeps going and going. Well, if I want to reverse, I'd go up 2, but not for every 3x, for every -3x. Up 2 for every -3x. And there is that perfectly straight equation is a graph. Fourth one, above this, write your formula. Y equals B plus or minus kx. The B is 10. The kx doesn't show up because it is 0 per x. This equation on your graph, your last graph, on the y-axis, you're going to begin at 10. And your rate of change is 0 for every x. And so you're not going to go up for every x. You're not going to go down, however, for every x. You're just going to remain at the same spot for every x. And there is your graph. Now I'm going to have Mrs. Coons pause the video, okay, and I'm going to have her monitor the time for 2 minutes, and I would like you to get as many of these done as you can, and then we're going to check your work. All right, the first one, look at your y-axis. Did you begin at 2? That's the first thing I want you to analyze. And then from that point, did you go down 2/3 for every x? Down 2/3 for every x. Down 2/3 for every x. Or proportionately, did you go down 2 for every 3x? Number 2, did you begin on the y-axis at -4? Did you have a rate of up 6 for every x? Number 3, did you begin your relationship on the y-axis at 0? Did you go up 1 1/3 for every x? Up 1 1/3 for every x. Up 1 1/3 for every x, or you could go up 4 for every 3 x's. Those are those. All right, would you go to the next slide, please? It says, write an equation in slope-intercept form using the given information. Slope-intercept form is our formula. Y equals B. The beginning is the y-intercept. Plus or minus kx. The k is the constant rate. That's the slope. Okay, so your slope-intercept form, you read the y-intercept, the beginning, and the slope. So if you have a slope of 5 and a y-intercept of 7, your equation would be y equals, begin at -7, add 5 for every x, or 5 per x. There's your equation. Number 2, slope 0.25, y-intercept 10. Y-intercept is the beginning. The slope is the constant rate. So your equation would be y equals 10 plus 0.25 x. Next one, it's a graph. You're supposed to write an equation in slope-intercept form. That form is y equals b plus or minus kx. On the y-axis, where do you begin? You begin at 1. On the y-axis, what is your rate of change? Well, you're going up 1 for every 4. 1 divided by 4 is not divisible. So your slope is 1/4 y per x. So we'll say plus 1/4 per x. Y equals 1 plus 1/4 x. Next one. Y equals b plus or minus kx. Where does the y begin? The y-axis begins at 0. What does the slope do? The change in y is down 4 for every 2x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. This is going downhill, so your slope is -2 per x. All right, last one. It says identify the slope and the y-intercept, explain what they mean. Okay. So it says the small swimming pool in Beth's backyard has a leak. The amount of water in the pool over time is graphed below. What is the slope? Well, you got to have 2 points. If you look closely at this graph, it crosses there and it crosses there. Those are the only 2 points you can use. What is the change in y? 120 to 40, 20, 40, 60, 80. What is the change in x? You're going from 0 to 5. So the change in x is 5. 80 divided by 5 is 16. So your slope is 16 per, and then we're not going to say x this time. The x is minutes. 16 per minute. What are the 16? The 16 are gallons. The line's going downhill, so we would say -16 gallons per minute is the slope. What does this number mean in the context of the problem? Well, Beth's pool has a leak. That means the constant rate of the leak is losing 16 gallons per minute. What is the y-intercept? It's right here. The y-intercept is 120. What does this mean in the context of the problem? Means the pool began with 120 gallons. So we haven't done too many word problems. We'll do some more like that. Now, you have an assignment. The expectation is that you work quietly from your assigned seat. If you have a question, raise your hand and wait quietly until Mrs. Coons can come help you. Okay. Your assignment is first to finish the assignment that's due today. That's W5E, it's supposed to be done to a SMART score of 80 to 100. The assignment that is due for tomorrow is IXL topic WHM, again to a SMART score of 80 to 100. You're doing so much better keeping up with your assignments. I have so many of Monday's assignment in, okay, that it's taken me 2 days to go through them, okay? And I have lots and lots from what was due yesterday, okay? Keep up with them. If you can start and sustain work, you can finish it. Okay. Have a great day. Okay. Be kind. Okay. And do your best.